He's expected to miss multiple weeks. Nick, is this the end of the Cowboys season?
Yeah. And here's the thing. And wow, sometimes the sports gods smile upon you, because there is nothing more mortifying for this show than having to do a mid-season playoff prediction flip-flop, as Brew had to do with the Jets, and as a year ago Brew had to do with the Bengals, and the year before Brew did with the Bengals, then unflip-flopped. It is mortifying. And there's only one allowable by the bylaws excuse, and that is starting quarterback injury.
Okay.
And I have written down on this sheet these notes that I took before the injury was announced. I'm out on the Cowboys.
Oh.
So even before Dak was out,
immunized
I was going to be out, but now he's out, so we're definitely out.
But you looked bad for the first 7
looked
weeks.
bad is one thing or another. That is all true. Listen, they were, before this injury was, before Pelissaro said out multiple weeks, as far as winning the NFC, the Cowboys had better odds than the Saints, who just fired their coach, the New York Giants, and the Carolina Panthers. That's the list. Oh. There are 16 teams in the conference. 12 have a better record than them. 12, and that's before, like, obviously Dak got hurt yesterday, but so they were going to be a huge underdog before we got the Prescott news. Yeah. Now that we have the Prescott news, their season is definitively over, and what they do with that clarity will inform their decisions moving forward, because this is the thing I said before the show that you guys are going to negatively react to, but you know I'm right about.
I want to hear this.
They are fools if next week Cooper Rush starts.
See, that's what I am. Trey Lance question.
I don't hate that.
Because if he's good, that's great for the Cowboys. And if he's bad, that's great for the Cowboys. Because now they're in
You mean Trey?
Trey. I'm saying Trey. If he's good, then you all of a sudden can recoup maybe the draft asset or then some. I don't think that's going to happen. And if he's bad, you'll just get a better draft pick, because now this season's about top 10 pick. Could it be a top 5 pick? The season is now totally off the rails.
How many games he may miss? He may miss, what, 3?
Yeah, right. 3 or 4. And they're right now, again, they are 13th in the conference. 13th in the conference already. And so, like, you're not going to learn anything with Cooper Rush, and you are not good enough. I know they went 4-1 with Cooper Rush years ago. That was a couple years ago. That was a far better team than this one. So, yes, the season's over, and they should start Trey, even if Trey's way in over his head.
I agree with that. I agree with that Trey Lance take. I would remind you, you did pick the Bears to go to the Super Bowl. So, no, you're not out of the woods yet.
We're not to the Bears topic yet. That's
You're not out of the woods yet.
That's on this page.
All right, first, I do have to say that you guys know I'm not going to give a grade to the Cowboys. All right? It was going to be a D. I was going to be kind to them and give them a D. But I take it seriously. And I am objective and fair when it comes to my grading. So I do have to give myself an F for believing in the Cowboys and actually picking them to beat Atlanta. Because it's just me. It's not the team. It's just me.
Where's the R&B singers and everything to give you the F?
So, yeah, I give myself an F for believing in them. Yes, the season's over. And like Nick, all before we knew about Dak. Now, I thought hamstring, he's probably going to miss a couple games at least. But even if he was playing next week, it was like they're done. They're just done. First of all, they're not good enough to make the playoffs. Like maybe if they got, when they get Micah and DeMarcus Lawrence back, they could be in the fight. But they're not better. They're not as good as Washington and Philadelphia. They're just not. And so they're not going to make the playoffs, especially with the injuries. The rest of this season, like Nick said, it's about who's the keeper. Who is a keeper? Because Dak, you would even consider maybe moving for him, but his contract just makes that all but impossible. So now you got to keep Dak. So you can't, do a total rebuild because you have a 31-year-old quarterback making all $60 million a year. Yeah. So who is a keeper? What is our plan for the offseason? And he's right. They should play Trey Lance to see what he can do. Who cares if Cooper Rush goes out there and wins a game or two? They're definitely losing at least 2 of the next 3, and I'm being kind. They probably lose all 3. They got Philadelphia, Houston, and
Do they have Washington coming up?
is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Washington.
Yeah.
So they're definitely losing 2 of the 3, maybe all 3. The season's over.
Can I just keep that up there for a second? Just to play the other side of this. The Eagles can't give you a game with Nick Sirianni.
The Eagles can give you a game.
They
But
were an
it's a
interception.
rival.
I'm just saying, they're an interception away from losing to Jacksonville, who's terrible. The Texans just lost to the Woeful Jets.
Yeah, but
the Commanders are a very good team, but Jaden
Yeah.
has been up and down. One shot from Jaden, all of a sudden, like, why did we give up on the season? All of a sudden, the Giants are not good. The Bengals, I know, have to bow down. The
So what are
Panthers
you
aren't
saying?
good.
They can
I'm
make
just
the
saying,
playoffs?
well, in a few minutes, we're gonna say that the 4-win Bengals that we should
Not if Joe Burrow
that
was
we
out
should
for a
we
month.
should consider going to New Orleans and getting
Oh my
Bengals
gosh,
here.
I
But
got
the
it.
3-win
Hold on, buddy,
Cowboys
this is
because you don't want to put Cooper Rush in because he's won 4 games last year and he's 5.
The
or 2 years
Cowboys
ago.
are bad.
Wait a
I
second.
understand they're bad, but you're going
Can
to
I-
pack up the
Hold on.
ship for the Cowboys and all these other teams.
Joe
that
Burrow's
have a
better
heartbeat.
than Dak.
Can I
and
jump,
Cooper
can I
Rush
jump
for
in
sure.
real quick?
Go.
This is one of those things, and I say this sincerely. I wish I had done it off the air.
Go.
Sometimes, and I love you, sometimes you have a really bad take that you get anchored to, and it pulls your otherwise good takes in its wake. Here's the thing. I take is a bad take. Set that aside. But it should not, whatever it is, using how we feel about the Bengals as a reverse justification for you all of a sudden believing in a team that 72 hours ago, when the quarterback was healthy, you thought was bad, and you were right, that now that the quarterback's hurt, you're like, well, why can't they win 3 in a row?
I don't believe in giving up. I'm not a huge fan of giving up.
Listen, I don't think it's giving up. I think it is. Here's the thing. The pick you traded for Trey Lance, in the 10 picks after, running back Bucky Irving was taken. Running back Garendo for the Niners was taken. Running back Braylon Allen for the Jets was taken. You could have had your running back this year. Instead, you said, we're going to take Trey Lance. Tonight, maybe he's so awful in the next week's game, it's like it's not plausible to put him out there again. I'm just trying to find a small silver lining of something to be gained from this moment for Dallas that you couldn't do if you were 5-3. If it was just steady the ship, but if we can just quickly show their rankings. And listen, I feel I should sound like a fool here because I'm the one who believed in this team more than anybody on the show. Like Brew and I both had him in the playoffs, but I had him winning the division. It is unfathomable to me that they went from top 5 in everything to not top 10 in anything and barely top 20 in most things. That is not just they lost Tony Pollard.
Right.
That is a systemic collapse of a team from one year to the next.
I'm going to throw something else at why they should play Trey. We know what Jerry's about. Buzz, interest, money.
I buy that.
You put Cooper Rush out there.
Yeah.
Who cares?
A winning
You
game.
put Trey Lance out there, people are going to pay attention to next week's game. And probably no matter how bad he might be in that game, even the week after Trey, people are going to watch to see what Trey Lance does.
So Mike McCarthy should just, what should he do?
Mike McCarthy's a lame duck anyway.
Well, who gives you the better chance to win next week? Trey
Cooper
Lance.
Rush.
Okay, then I got to play Cooper Rush. If I'm Mike McCarthy, I have to play Cooper Rush. I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose with Trey Lance if I'm Mike McCarthy, and then get fired because I lost games because you told me to play.
If Cooper wins, one of the next 3, which
Now
is
they're
about
4
their
and 5.
best,
Here comes
best
Micah.
case scenario.
Oh, what's going on now?
Can I just
now it's Dan
Can
Quinn.
I just say something
Dan
real
Quinn,
quick?
little Cowboys
I
fan.
disagree that with this level of talent, Cooper Rush gives you a better chance. I think Cooper Rush, if you dropped either one of these guys, Cooper Rush or this kind of total unknown in Trey Lance, onto a stacked team, I think Cooper Rush give you a better chance. You know what I mean? It's a plug-and-play situation. Call it, I don't want to say the Niners.
I hear you.
Just
like they were last year.
Right, or 2 years ago, where we got 2 good weapons, a good running back, all that stuff. The Cowboys right now that might have CeeDee Lamb next week, might not. and who don't have a running game, whose offensive line hasn't been great. I actually am not sure that Cooper Rush and knowing exactly what you're going to get from him gives you a better chance than a guy who could run for 100 yards, who's going to be a high variance player. Like, so I don't look at it as you're just waving the white flag, but I do think there's added benefit of if he's, so even if you throw out my if he's bad, it's good for you for draft picks, maybe he'll be better than that. And if he is, that's doubly good because to your reason, the season stays alive. And to my reason, you maybe can recoup something for him in the offseason because Dak's your quarterback because of the contract you got.
If they don't play him, he must really
be
bad.
Awful in practice.
He must be horrible.
And by the way, he's not even the backup, so maybe he does. But even in that case, I might be like, man, maybe he's a gamer. Give him one game like you traded
he really
for
hasn't
him.
had any extended
No
run
chance
in the
to
whole
play
league.
it at any time.
I'm not expecting anything from him.